Hello everyone, good to see you. It's been a little while. I'm not sure, maybe it's been a month since I updated you. Uh, yeah, been a month since the last painful 25-minute video. And now there's going to be another painful 25-minute video. I imagine there's a bit like a period that you kind of know it's coming every month. And then when it gets there, it's really bad and painful and then goes again. Maybe it's easier than a period because you can switch me off. I don't know, I'm talking about something I don't even know. But I did want to come back and say hello, coming to you from our garden and my bench. So I had a thing about wanting to have a bench. And there's a place to dwell, metaphorically and really. So we have a bench. It's a nice bench. So I'm going to talk to you from my bench. Stories from my bench. And actually for some of you this will be the first shot of me with some hair back. Look at it, it's growing, look at that. I look a bit like Jean Valjean, I think. I don't know. Convict on the run, I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's growing back, which is good. And good to know that in a few weeks it will all be completely dropped off again. So, but look, I'm going to give you an update on all the things that are going on. Because there is a lot going on in our little Tyler world. So I think on the last update I told you that neither of my brothers were a match. So they're going for a stem cell transplant. And they've harvested all my cells. That was the most important bit, that they were able to get enough cells from me. And they did, they got more than enough. We got them all in a day. It was quite a dramatic day because I had another low blood pressure scenario. And my platelet count they found was really low, so they needed to give me another transfusion first. Anyway, so it was about a 12-hour day in hospital, but they got all the cells they needed, which is amazing. And it meant I didn't have to go back the next day and have more done. It's an extraordinary process of just taking the blood from one arm, spinning it really fast in a centrifuge device, and then putting what is not needed back into your arm again. Science and medicine just kind of blows my mind. So we have all the cells we need, so we're on track for the transplant, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But that looks like we are getting closer. Willow Tree Foundation continues to budge. We although it's slower, we have hit our 61,000 mark. So that's just over 20,000 to start gifting to families. And what we've had in the last few weeks has been an influx of applications because we put it out in more groups that we're looking to find our families. And the trustees met for the first time last week. Almost all the trustees met for the first time to think about how we allocate £20,000 to our families and what's the best way of allocating £20,000. So originally we had imagined that Willow Tree was to help families who were in early diagnosis, similar to the place that we found ourselves in December. But then what we realised was we were getting, and if you're not a part of the Willow Tree Facebook group, please come and join it because it's not just full of advice and wisdom, general people's wisdom who've gone through some kind of blood cancer. There are deeply moving, and you cannot not be stirred by them, stories from families who are currently struggling with some kind of blood cancer, with children with leukemia, some who have lost children to leukemia, some who are at just early diagnosis. And what we're finding is a lot of them coming through actually just mounting debt because they can't even manage the expenses of life and the expenses of hospital trips and having to stay away with their child at a hospital that's 3 or 4 hours away. So we are figuring out how we best allocate £20,000, but that leaves us in a place where we are needing another big push now to go just beyond that 20k mark, or a long way beyond it, but certainly for now just beyond it, so we can allocate these funds So to get another 2-3 grand in the next few weeks would be amazing. We're just thinking about how we do that. So lots of people have been doing fundraising events, some of which I've talked about. Cliff ran the half marathon. Manu's about to do the 10k walk in Hampton Court. Kelly did the Walk of Light for Blood Cancer UK. Ali, who is my nephew, did like some kind of all-night gaming thing, like a game-a-thon, where people paid to play online games with him. Tropic, we did the Tropic event, and other people have come forward saying, can they do things? So if you are minded to do something that is charitable and you want to donate the funds to Willow Tree, please talk to us, because we're in need of it, because we want to be able to pass it on. But when you hear some of the family stories, it's wow, it's a reminder why we set up the Willow Tree, because I bloody knew it on that night that we decided to do it, that there are families that are having it much harder than we are. That's the mind and the heart boggles at how they're able to do it. So let's keep pushing the Willow Tree between us and keep finding ways that we can put more money into the pot. Whatever suggestions you have. Certainly we're starting to also talk to some corporates and some of my clients who are considering partnering with us and making the Willow Tree Foundation a part of where they give their charitable money to. So if you're a part of an organisation that would also like to do that, then please come and speak to us. So the transplant looms, and the date has moved around, but it looks like it's going to be probably about 2 weeks today, actually, the 25th or the 26th of April. And this run up to it, I have to isolate for these 2 weeks, so I'm not out and not meeting people. And there's a whole series of tests. So I had my kidney function test, I've got a lung function test, I have to see a dentist to make sure there's no infection in my mouth, I have to have an ECG, an echocardiogram, I have to see my transplant consultant again, Dr. Coe, who's wonderful, and then I will go in for this rebirth, which is really what it is. So I'm going to be in for 4 weeks, no visitors, which will be the weirdest thing. I'm sure Kelly and Mia in some ways are absolutely delighted that they won't have their annoying husband and annoying dad around for a few weeks. As much as I will be able to irritate them in a digital manner, they can at least claim that the Wi-Fi was broken or something. So I'll be 4 weeks in, and that would take us to about the end of May, and then I've got about three months of isolating and shielding and recovery time. We're just also trying to understand what the year afterwards is like and any long-term side effects. We're not fully versed on that yet, but it seems like there are some. We're kind of on an integrative approach. We've met an integrative oncologist who is just starting to help us piece together some of the puzzle for how we can not just manage the mantle cell in an orthodox way, but also manage it in an integrated way. Royston's in the garden with me, and he's having a bit of a crazy moment. And there are the wind chimes just on cue. There he goes. So she's wonderful, and she's looking a lot at gut health. I'll tell you more about that when I know more about it. But she is fixated on how poor gut health is just a catalyst for so many of our other illnesses. So she's doing some gut health tests on me at the moment. We've invested in this oxygen machine so that I'm getting fresh oxygen. I didn't even know people go to oxygen bars. I mean, what's that all about? They go and sit at a bar. I don't know if they buy a pint and get some oxygen. But clearly there are a lot of health benefits to having oxygen directly into your system. So I sit with my little cannula on up my nose and pump fresh oxygen into me, which is why I look so wonderfully young, I think. we've got a reverse osmosis water machines. We've got the most filtered water that we can get. So we're doing all that we can do. Is all we can do, right? As much as we can to find some sustainable foundation for good health. And the transplant, and we're doing enough at the moment, but not too much. So what the transplant does, in the first 6 days, I have chemo for 6 days when I go in, and that pretty much obliterates certainly most of what is bad in my body, or at least all of what is bad. That's part of the issue, that if we leave one bit of mantle cell somewhere in my system, has a high likelihood of coming back. So it needs to get rid of all the toxins, but of course at the same time it gets rid of a lot of the good stuff. So I don't know how that's going to feel, that first 6 days of chemo, and then I have my rebirth day, and then it would be 3 weeks of just ensuring that there's engraftment and that the cells take my bones take them, and the bone marrow takes them. So it's a lot going on. There's a lot for my totally unscientific head to hold. Kelly has an extraordinarily logical, rational, information-based brain, and so I don't know how I'd manage this journey without her. Fortunately, I'm not. But I don't know how I'd manage it without her. And Mia, I don't know how I'd manage it without Mia. But I guess I'm not managing it without Mia, so it's all good. I have both of them in my life, which I am grateful doesn't really come close. So they are holding my hands and holding me up, and doing everything possible, I guess, to be around someone who's probably quite difficult to live with at the moment. I'm in a bit of a nesting phase right now, where I feel as if I'm about to give birth. I'm kind of wanting to get things in the house sorted and clear out and simplify. Massive mission to simplify. Books are going, things need to go, clutter. I'm very affected by when my external world feels cluttered and noisy and busy, so that affects my internal world. So I'm sure I'm just a complete pain in the arse to live with, and they'll be waving me off on the day of the transplant, going, yes, no annoying jokes, no tidying. But they're good. Kelly is working hard. Kelly always works hard at whatever she does, but she's working hard, and I think she's tired. We're all a bit tired, I guess. Some of the things we might want to do, we can't do. We can't just skip off on a holiday. It's Easter. Mia's off of sixth form. It'd be lovely just to jump on a plane and go somewhere, but we can't do that. So everyone kind of just gets on, and we do our thing. Kelly's tired and amazing. Mia is, I think, tired. She worked bloody hard every term, so I'm glad that she has a couple of weeks just to kind of kick back and do mindless crap, really, if she wants to. She's going to see some friends, and she started driving, which is and she's very good. I went out in the car with her once, and other than the near miss of the parked van, which was just a little bit too close, and her mounting the pavement, otherwise I thought her driving was very good. But she now has someone who can teach her properly, and I think that is going very well. So that's exciting. That means she's growing up fast. So, and Royston's good. Royston, are you good? Are you good, my darling boy? Don't you come and say hello? Don't you come and say hello? Come on. Come and say hello. Come and jump up here. Come on. Come on. Come on up. Come on up. There's room on the bench. I don't share my bench with everyone. Come on up. Come on, Snoo. Come on. Oh, anyway. Royston's not hanging out with me for long. So health-wise, how am I? Health-wise, I'm feeling pretty good. I've got some weird side effects. No, not side effects. I've got some weird symptoms. Sorry. I'm still on quite a few drugs, propping up pain and various things, which they're trying to make sense of. But I have some symptoms that I had last year, which were kind of pre-diagnosis at the moment, which is just some funny gut things, which is don't know what that is. Some days I feel more tired than others. I kind of get up and do stuff, and then by the end of the day I'm a bit whacked out. But physically I think I'm feeling the best I can feel in order to go in and live through this new phase and this rebirth. So I was, some of you will have heard, I was back on the Sylvie Blackmore BBC radio programme on Sunday. She's amazing and lovely, and just a wonderful presenter that asks questions and then listens to the answer. So that's in the group, and that's certainly on, well, I think it's just in the group to listen to, but maybe we'll post the link below this if you really want to listen to more of me. Get out, I would say, if you do. And I guess in terms of the transplant, I feel kind of this, I've talked a lot about these kind of two sides and the paradox between the light and the dark, and I feel a sense of readiness and anticipation, and I just want the final date and I want to know we're good to go, and a sense of being very pensive. There's such a thin veil, isn't there, between our polarities. There is for me at the moment anyway. So I'm kind of very aware of the thin veil between what is light and what is dark, and I guess we're going to gravitate to one or the other. But for me, I'm just understanding that opposite always exists, that other polarity is always there, and we have to make room for it. Sometimes it's easy to exclude it, so we exclude what feels too difficult, or we exclude what feels too joyous, I guess. So I almost don't want to know more information about the transplant. I kind of just want to get in there and trust that it will all go the way it needs to go. But it feels quite, when I think about it, and sometimes I forget about it, sometimes I'm quite surprised that I have this life-altering illness. And then I look in the mirror and see the convict looking back at me, and I wonder how the hell I got here. And then I'm grateful for it, and then I'm anxious, and then I also have this sense of kind of feeling this sense of feeling a bit lost. This whole year maybe of not working, and I'm trying to figure out, but what do I do next, and when will I start working, and when I start working, how will it be different, and what will I do? And it's funny, isn't it? Because I think we've lost the art of being lost, or if we ever had the art of being lost. But I don't think we do being lost very well. I'm sure we are the generation that is worst at being lost, because we rely on GPS and maps, and I get off the train, and the journeys that I know, I still look on Google Maps to make sure I'm going the right direction. But are we any good at being lost? What do we do when we're lost? I'm sure I've shared the David Whyte poem before called Lost, and he talks about when you're stood in the forest, and you're lost, do you desperately run to find your way out in that moment of panic, going, fuck, where am I? Do you scamper to find your way out? Or actually do you stand still and trust that the forest knows where you are? So I guess what I'm endeavouring to do is to stand still and just to notice which way I'm facing. This idea of, it's like, which way do you face when you're on the train? Do you sit facing towards what is oncoming, so you see it coming towards you and then you see it pass you by? Or do you sit on the train facing away so that you don't see what's coming, you just see it as it goes? And I'm kind of thinking about that at the moment on my own journey, about am I sitting facing forwards or am I facing backwards? I think I'm facing forwards, which means I'm kind of seeing it as it travels towards me, and then I guess I can choose to what I pay attention to. So I've talked before about being on this sense of walking myself home. I think that's what when people say, what do you do for a living? I kind of, I think I have conversations with people. That's what I do. Conversations with groups and individuals. And I witness their journeys when they're at their best and when they're at their most challenging. And I help walk them home. And I'm walking myself home, and I guess there's that sense of, as I walk home, it's been a long time since being at home, so therefore there is a bit of getting lost in there, not quite finding the way. The roads have changed, the landscape has changed over time. So so I'm attempting to be okay with being lost, and knowing that really at the same time as being lost I'm found, because we've got the same paradox. Some of you are going, what the fuck is going on in his head? Some of you will get it, some of you don't want to get it, some of you are switched off. That's all right, but it is, isn't it? I'm kind of lost and at the same time found. And I'm doing my best to crouch down next to myself. This came up a few months ago, and it was a few people who, after I announced what was happening in our life, a few people, clients that I probably couldn't remember by name, or I probably couldn't remember directly working with them, but maybe they were a part of a group that I worked with 15 years ago with 30 people in a room, and they said, I just remember that you crouched down next to me. A few of them used that term of, like, you crouched down next to me and you said one thing that absolutely changed my life. And that was very humbling, because it was about no grand gestures, just presence. But that sense of when someone crouches down next to you and meets you where they are. And I hope my work is about crouching down next to people. And I hope the Willow Tree is about crouching down next to the families. And my test is to do that with myself, to crouch down next to myself. So I'm going to wrap up because I've gone on way too long. So thank you. If you listened, thank you. If you are part of a Willow Tree group, if you are following this journey, if you're in our world in some way, which I guess you are if you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for your presence. That's CE at the end. Thank you for your presence and your capacity to hold us and be with us, to be with us in our moments of joy, to be with us in our moments of shit. There's definitely some more moments of shit on the horizon and difficulty, because it is. So thank you. This journey would be impossible without all of you. Even for those of you that shrug it off and go, I haven't done anything. You've done so much. And I guess to wrap, I had one request, which was a few weeks ago. I said to Kelly, it would be lovely to get, I find it very difficult to read all the Facebook messages at once. I find it quite overwhelming. It gets me too much here, and I get too emotional, so I stop reading them. I said to Kelly, it would be wonderful to have letters, cards, cross stitch, if you do a bit of cross stitch, if you write poems, if you take photographs, if you draw things, just to have things that inspire you and therefore you believe would inspire me. I'd love to be able to open one thing at a time when I'm in hospital, and to open them kind of on my terms depending on how I'm feeling. Kelly put a post out, and lots of people saying yes to doing something, which is amazing. So we've already got quite a lot here. Ideally, I know some people have sent books. Ideally, I'd go with not books. Whilst books will inspire and will be meaningful, and I'm grateful for books, what I would love to be able to do is just to kind of stick a load of things on the wall, and whether that's letters, pictures, postcards, whatever it is, something that you've written, a quote that you found, a poem that you love, that's really what would be great to have. So get in touch with Kelly. You can get in touch with her on Facebook or via LinkedIn, or get in touch with me and I'll give you Kelly's email address. And Kelly's kind of fielding all of that. So thank you so much for those of you that have already done it. We've already got a pile of stuff. It's like Christmas. It's like I'm like the Queen. 2 birthdays I'm gonna have. So thank you for all of that. Yeah, I'm gonna go because it has been way too long. I send you lots of love. I hope you are well and healthy, and I hope that if you are not, and you are in a bit of a shitty time, that you can be fully in that shitty time. And as I know from just sitting outside, the weather changes in a heartbeat, and so do our life circumstances. So lots of love to you, and I will update you when the date's confirmed. I'll do a quick update when the date's confirmed, but for now we're looking at 25th, 26th, but I'll be back. All right, I send you lots of love from me, from Kelly, from Mia, from Royston, and I see you soon. Take care, bye.